Alright, I just napped 3 stones to make a wick holder for my lamp. See? Break the bracket. And once you've broken the bracket in half, oh, that was a gunshot. Once you've broken the bracket in half, you take a stone knife, like this crow's beak right here, and you just slice into the bracket, and you cut out a slender wick. Just like that. And once you've got a piece that's a sufficient height, you can trim it to however wide you want, and you have a perfect wick for your oil lamp. So tonight when I'm sleeping in my camp, I'm going to have a nice oil lamp to give me light to see by. First thing I do is I put my large stone in there. I set my wick in there. I'll take one crab claw and put it there. Put the other stone right there. Alright, and that holds the wick up so it stands straight up. Then I drizzle it with oil and fill the shell bowl up with as much oil as it'll hold. I have to be careful not to overfill it. As it burns low on oil, I can refill it. When the wick absorbs all the oil, you can see it turns jet black. My little bowl is filled. So when it gets dark, I've got a very high quality lamp to use inside of my shelter. See, you just pour the oil on there and you fill up your little reservoirs, and when they're full you let it sit until it is completely absorbed, and you just do that over and over until the bracket fungus won't hold any more oil, and then it'll be ready to burn. That process can take 15 to 20 minutes. And of course, if you don't have any oil to burn in a lamp, you can always use solid pine sap, like this pine sap right here. And to set up the pine sap lamp, I use 2 pieces of bracket fungus, a stone, and the solid pine sap I set just above the wicks like that, so that when I light it, it'll melt down into the wick. The wick will absorb the pine sap and it'll burn like a good lamp. Now when it gets dark, I'm going to light that and demonstrate it to you. This is a good way to burn larger logs. So you lay the log one direction, and your smaller twigs, smaller branches, you lean up against it like that. This kind of a firelight puts out plenty of light, plenty of heat. See, a few pine needles. You light it on fire. You have to shield the early flame, but once it heats up and gets burning good, it'll burn nice and bright. And when the pine sap burns low, you just put another little piece of pine sap on there. You maintain the fire like that. These little pine sap lamps work really good. Of course, oil is a little better, a little easier, burns longer, it's easier to maintain. And if it goes out, you just relight it. I just use pine fat matches. This is the oil lamp inside my little shelter. And tonight when I'm laying on my bed, I'll have a couple hours of good light without having to throw wood on a fire. When the oil level burns low, starts burning low, I'll just add a little bit more oil. But traditionally, at dark time, you burn one shell full of oil before bed. And that gives you about an hour of light. And after my bowl full of oil is burned up, my 3 stones are going to be really hot, and I use those for hot rocks. Yeah, they're small, but they stay hot for about an hour, and usually that's enough to warm up those cold fingers and toes. Small, but extremely effective. My oil-soaked bracket fungus, when I wake up 2-3 o'clock in the morning and I'm cold, I'll light it then. Instead of crawling out of my nice warm shelter here to go build a fire or whatever, I'll light my bracket fungus. I'll use it to warm up with. Well, it's time for me to call it a night. I'm going to use my boots for a pillow. And my sweatshirt, I'm going to use it for a blanket. Good night.